till I die, Spurs Diehards, Tottenham till I die, Tottenham till I die, Tottenham till I die, Spurs Diehards, Tottenham till I die. Tottenham till I die, Spurs Diehards, Tottenham till I die. Good evening and welcome to the Sunday edition of Spurs Diehards, Tottenham till I die. On what has been I think a quite monumental couple of days. First of all, I'm going to introduce the panel. We have got masses to get through, so we are not going to get too much waffle. Bottom right of your screen, someone that we don't get on often enough, but we always love to have him on when we can. Coach Dave. Good evening, Dave.
How you doing, you guys? You guys all right? It's a late one, but, you know, never a quiet weekend with Spurs.
All good. And one of our regular contributors, Brad Matthews on the bottom left. Good evening to you, Brad.
Hi there, Ian. Hi, everybody. Yeah, I mean, I said earlier today that 10 o'clock on a Sunday night was quite late because I've got work tomorrow. But congratulations to the Lionesses for a brilliant win in the Euro final, and I'm just buzzing. So I'm fully awake, buzzing. I've had a few beers to celebrate, and it just proves how teamwork will overcome anything. A champion team will beat a team of champions, and I think their grit and determination tonight showed through, and they fully deserved their win.
Yeah, indeed. Tom, I'm sure you'll echo that.
Yeah, 100%. I was watching that in between making bottles of milk and cooking dinner and all sorts of different things. So, yeah, it was good. It was really good. And, I mean, they played extra time in every single knockout game. So,
yeah,
fitness levels as well on point. But, yeah.
And good evening.
At least something decent happened this week, anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I'm a patriot. I'll support England if they're playing tiddlywinks, right? So, and what I will say is that they gave preps to the girl who scored the last goal because she did it in the last competition. But big shout out for the England goalkeeper during that game, as far as I'm concerned. A real big shout out. And back to him. I know we've got a lot to get through.
She is good, isn't she? Let's catch up with the chat because we would go. I went on. This show's about 3 edits with things that are going on, but where's it gone? Where's We Are Spurs TV's comment? It's gone. It's not there.
Right.
Maybe
I'll go for it if you can't find it.
Doesn't. Yeah. Well.
We got AJ going, lads.
Yeah.
Then we got us. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was us replying, but we had a comment for almost like, well, go on. What's your excuses now, boys? And that's fair. We'll stand up. Where's Jose when we need a translator? But vamos, let's go. Lionesses, absolutely. Nita, good evening, Nita. Yeah, had to share this. My neighbour, she's 86. We've been friends for 40 years. Came to watch the game with you here. Replied, no thanks. I like the man's football like I watch eye candy.
That's excellent. That's excellent.
86. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. And hi, folks from...
Big up, Brett.
Yeah, and...
big up, Brian.
Brian, isn't it? Yeah, Brian. Good evening, Brian. Chris.
Big up to you.
Adrian
Chris
and all.
Brawler. Chris-
Yeah, it's Ian's panel tonight, but I won't hold it against you. Is that Adrian on guitar? It was actually me on guitar. Adrian was on,
I did the vocals.
Yeah.
and Tom was on bass because you always have the least talented people on bass. Yeah, I'll tell Cockerell we got a new tea lady apparently. Yeah. Oh, there. Yeah, hang on. I must have missed Jose. Yeah, vamos, Jose. Chris, I was told we'd have a bonanza salmon. We'd spend 300 million. I've been away in Spain for just over a week, and the pigeons have not brought me any info. No. And Graham's here as well, and Kevin. So anyway, look, I think that's most of. We've got 37. I'm sure the numbers are going to increase, but talk about never a dull moment to FC. I mean, that is us all over. And as I put here, humble pie or egg on our faces. You can pick your metaphor. But let's start. Tom's disappeared. Dave, let's start with you because something's obviously gone hopelessly wrong here. MGW fast. Did we get played, mess up, or just a victim of circumstances? You got any idea?
I think it could be all three. That's almost a Tottenham way, isn't it? I think, listen, his agency is what, CAA, isn't it? Who have had a bit of a foothold in the club for a while. They've got a few players at our club. Ange was one of their clients as well. So this whole idea about the everything getting leaked and illegal approaches, has that come from them? That's come some of the talk that I've kind of heard from some people. We don't know. And that is the fact. Let's be honest, we don't know. There are, all these people that claim to know probably don't. But you can assume maybe that could be what might have happened. His agency maybe is where we found out about this release clause, and then we maybe haven't done due process, and then because of that and the circumstances he's in, with his personal life, pregnant wife, high risk situation at the moment for him to make that jump is probably not the best time for him. With everything going on, he wants to be settled. The Nottingham Forest owner probably knows that, put a lot of pressure on him. And like I said, probably all three. We got played, we messed up, and we're a victim of circumstances. The annoying thing is that it's taken 2 weeks. The annoying thing is that we haven't done anything else. And the annoying thing, it probably wasn't in the position in the squad that all of us were saying, after we signed Kudus, yes, we now need to go get another attacking player. We probably all were going, oh, Kudus is great. But what about our midfield? What about what about that hole in the midfield? What about left back, centre back, cover? Let's
Dave,
talk.
we are coming on to it. We will.
Yeah.
Brad, before I bring you in, Adrian, we've got a little video. Some of you may have seen it, but we're going to try and show this. These old men here are going to try and work the technology.
I'm delighted. So thank you to Mr. Marinakis for believing in me. I feel like we've been on a roller coaster of a journey, but I've felt the love instantly from the very first moment I stepped into the doors. We've had difficult times, but we've had a lot of highs. And last year was really, really exciting. We got to showcase what we're about and what we're trying to build as a team. And I feel like Mr. Marinakis is the base of that. So I was delighted to sign.
I think this new contract really shows the ambition, not just of yourself, but of Mr. Marinakis here as well. That ambition must just drive through the dressing room, right?
100%. And Mr. Marinakis is the main reason for that. We've built that culture inside the dressing room, and I feel like that's what strived us all the way through. The manager's been incredible since he's come in. The fans as well. The fans have been absolutely amazing from the very first moment I've joined, and to give them back European football is something that we're, as a dressing room, as a team, as a club, we are all really proud about, because they're the ones that deserve it the most, because they're the ones that pay the hard-earned money, show up on the weekends and come and watch us play, and support us and cheer us. So they're the ones who deserve it the most, and we're just happy that we're able to give back to them.
Brilliant. Well done, Adrian. We can work the technology. Brad, have you seen that interview before?
That I've heard about it. That's the first time I've seen it. For my sins against humanity, I get plagued on Twitter with loads of pro Donald Trump tweets from people, basically sycophants, who say Donald Trump's done a wonderful job. Caroline Levitt, what a wonderful guy, he's done this, he's done that. Wow, we've got us about, and I sort of got that. That's why I was laughing. If you heard me, I was laughing because that was similar to what I get on my Twitter feed. You know, he's going, oh yeah, Miss American Argus, what a great job he's done. I'd like to thank Miss American Argus. Oh wow, I was really in the mud, and then he's pulled me through this. Oh, yeah, I don't know. Let's be serious.
Brad, does this sum it up?
Yeah, exactly. And I have a habit now. I've never been one for trolling because, you know, they don't get to see your trolling. But I tend to put my replies to a lot of stuff is just laughing faces. Yeah, which that probably sums up. But I don't know. When I first heard of what had gone on, that was late last night. I just got home from the Ealing Blues Festival, so I was in a really good mood. I had a few beers, obviously. And I saw that news, and I just thought to myself, Tottenham Hotspur, what a bunch of amateurs. You know, an absolute... Only Tottenham could mess up a release clause, you know? Obviously, as Dave was saying, we don't know... Oh, that way. Dave was saying, we don't know the ins and outs of what's gone on. I've read a guy in the Telegraph saying that there are parts of the clause that we didn't meet, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, we've messed up on 2.5 weeks that we could assign other people, and it's just I had a lot of early optimism for Tottenham. I still think Thomas Frank is a good appointment. I still think he'll improve us. We'll have to be patient, I think, and obviously the games against Wickham and Luton. I didn't see the Luton game, luckily, and I only sort of really half and half saw the Wickham game. But the games have proved that there's a lot of work to do at Tottenham. But I just sort of think that I was optimistic, and now that optimism has been in the space of 24 hours has gone, because we need a better squad. We need better players. I like the signing of Kudos. Morgan White would have improved the team, and we didn't get him. So now they've got to go out. We've obviously proved to everyone we've got 60 million to spend. So we've got to go out and buy players now. We've got to go out and get them. So yeah, it's the same as I remember back in Conte's second season when, you know, we signed Bissouma, Richarlison all very, very quickly, and everyone was really, really excited. And then it suddenly dropped off. And, you know, I get that feeling that's happening at the moment. The guys are going on their tour tomorrow or tonight. I think they left. Obviously, we've all heard players like Mikey Moore staying to get loan deals, and that fine. I've got no problems on that.
Brad, going to come on to that.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, one transfer. We need to get players in on this tournament. You know, this tour.
We're going to talk. We are going to talk about. I'm sorry to cut you off.
That's fine.
In the chat, Chris and Graham. Hang on, why is that? Yeah, Chris and Graham saying hi to each other.
Yeah, Chris and Graham.
Always like that. Kevin, we talk about this Levy mismanagement. I'm not sure that's fair, but we will come back to that. Nita, hi to Graham and Jose. The only high risk was Marek Anarchis, hold him to ransom. Scary fucker, that man. But, right. Okay. Brad, Tom, I'm going to bring you in on this. Anyone who knows the first thing about body language knows if you've got your arms folded, it's very defensive. And I just got the impression, I don't think that video showed it clearly, but Marinakis was standing right by him when he was giving that interview.
Honestly,
he was,
do you know, Ian, what it really reminded me of was when you did something wrong in school and the head teacher takes you to go and apologise to the person that you've been horrible to. Like, literally, you can imagine as soon as the camera cut on that he's just gone, Oh, was that all right, Mr. Marinakis? Did I do okay? Like the fact that they said they said Mr. Marinakis like 5-6 times in that one interview is just embarrassing, to be honest with you. And like, I mean, look, end of the day, look, I was very annoyed last night in all of the chats and stuff like that. But it was less about. Look, I wanted Morgan Gibbs White. I said I wanted Morgan Gibbs White before he'd even put an offer in for him. He was one of. I actually would have preferred him to. I said I would prefer him to Eze, but I it's less about missing out on him. It's just the fact that we've wasted 2 weeks. Like if as soon as they started this legal stuff, they should just been like, right, if this is going to be too complicated, let's just. Sorry, we're cutting ties. We're not doing it. We're going to go and explore elsewhere. And the club should have announced that. But it seems like the club didn't even know that Morgan Gibbs White was being offered this new contract. It's like they found out when everyone else found out that this had happened. It's just embarrassing, and it's just again a complete and utter. Like, okay, I'm sure other conversations about other players or deals have been getting worked on in the background, but as far as we can see as fans, is that for 2 weeks the club has sat on their hands. We've got no new players in that 2 weeks. We've just watched 2 horrendous like draws as pre-season friendlies, and that's a whole nother subject because the times that teams have gone back are different, but it's just to me it's just abysmal that it took 2 weeks and that. But yeah, that interview, like the fact that like it's not just Spurs fans that are calling that interview out. Literally every single fan who has seen that is going, that is something that is embarrassing. That is.
I mean, Tom, did you see that picture I posted earlier? The behind the scenes clip as well.
Oh yeah,
the knife behind his back. Yeah. Literally,
that was from Jay Percy at the Telegraph. That was his exclusive.
Really?
I thought a shameful piece of journalism in that he said Spurs didn't do that. This is what's happened, but there's no facts in it. As someone put in it was Matt Law that reposted it that I saw, and someone says it's like reading like a press release from Nottingham Forest. I mean, it's yeah. Anyway, I better catch up with the chat before I bring others in. Hi, Louis. That's my grandson, and don't troll us this time. And yeah, Brett's there. Yeah, Callum is in the house. Indeed, he is. We can still, Oh, listen, Graham, I'm the optimist too. And our Spud's in the house. Good evening, Spuds. Yeah, Nita, I'm going to come back to that later in the show. I hope I get round to it. Adrian, what's your take?
Well, I mean, I'm in the muddy, and I mean, I was absolutely convinced and posted everywhere and kept explaining the legal situation, how we're going to get this deal done. So, like, but football's made a fool of it before. I'm sure it will do so again. I mean, I learn from my mistakes, and that's why I repeat them. Yeah, I mean, like, the way I look at this is the way it's happened is we had the medical. He was going to sign. The release clause was activated. Right, it didn't happen. So now you look as to why. I'm sure we won't dwell on this too much because if a player don't want to come to my club, I don't want him anyway. Right, lack of ambition as far as I'm concerned. But good player. But so what's happened here with these legal threats and letters which were never sent? I actually think, right, and believe that Marinakis. I mean, your agents and your players are very close together. They're very close, right? They have to be. There's got to be trust, right, between them. And it's obvious, unless it was a third party or an associate or a member of a Gibbs White's family, it's odds on the agent spilled the beans on this release clause, right? It is odds on, right? Marinakis knows that. I think he's applied pressure on Gibbs White through the agent. Look, I'm going to tear your agent to pieces. I'm going to sue him and everything if you don't sign a deal. We'll offer you a fantastic amount of money, blah, blah, blah. Because this changed, a lot of pressure was applied. So that's my theory. Whether people believe it or not, it's down to them. But I believe that's what happened. I think the pressure was put on Gibbs White through his agent, blabbing, basically.
Yeah, I think there's a story. I think John Percy in the Telegraph's come close to reporting it. Whatever that excuse for journalism is, it's not giving us anything we don't actually know, or at least we haven't heard rumours. Callum, have you got? I'm going to talk about where we might go from here, but have you heard anything as to what actually broke this deal down? I mean, I think Dave made an interesting point about his wife and what have you, and I don't think he doesn't come across as the strongest person in terms of he was allowed himself to get bullied pretty much. But do you have any indication as to why this deal broke down?
It's such a difficult one because obviously last night all of us were blindsided, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I think we can all say that it looks like we've been played, we've been thrown under the bus, everything like that. So the last I heard was that Spurs were very confident they was going to try and get the deal done in the next couple of days and push it through. It looks like that Marinakis has played a blinder here. He's literally got so many people scared of this legal ramifications, the NDA, the breach of contract, the threat of Morgan Gibbs-White being ostracised and everything like that. I think he's just bent everyone over a barrel. And the sort of general feeling around Spurs is shock, if anything, because obviously they had agreed a contract with Morgan Gibbs-White. They'd agreed the medical. Everything was done until this legal farce was pulled up. And just by...
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear.
Yeah.
So what's Ian on about?
Don't know.
It looks like senile dementia's finally kicked in.
Right. Callum, these were my sources.
Oh,
But they're better than Callum's.
Why is there? Close to the club. Sorry, I was trying to work out why there's a club biscuit there, and it said close to the club. Okay, fair enough.
It's such a difficult one, and the pelters that I got last night was horrendous. I got 600 messages from people, and some of that was unpleasant as hell. And I know I texted Ian and Adrian last night saying I'm going to the war tonight and all that. I've calmed down today. I've had a Chinese buffet. I've treated myself. I've had a bit of a calm one. But no, the whole point, I think, is that Marinakis has made it so impossible for Morgan Gibbs-White to leave. And he's done this sort of bump up of contracts and extended it by a year. And there's rumours of between 65 and 75 million release clause, but they are dependent on either a relegation clause or a European clause. It's any in between has been removed now. And to be honest, the whole point is that Spurs have been played and we've been played for 2 weeks. That's the general feeling and the general consensus that we've been told to back off, let it calm down, let it play out, and then go with it. The general gist is that either Gibbs-White's agent has pushed for a new contract or Marinakis has made it so impossible with the legal threats to all three parties that it's just easier just to sign a new deal, brush it under the table. Because remember, Marinakis has got an off of criminal charges before. He's got an off of corruption charges, illegal arms handling, corruption within office, corruption within club football as well. This is one of the most dangerous businessmen going.
Can I make a point? Can I make a point that?
Yeah,
obviously, when they did the contract with the release clause of 60 million, they underestimated how much he might be worth. I mean, you could see a scenario, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, but you could see a scenario where Man City come in with a £100 million bid and sign him before the window closes. Because he signed this contract, and now they can sell him for more money. So Marinakis could have had that in mind. He obviously didn't like the fact that he's going to lose one of his best players for 60 million. And I've no love for the man, but you have to say he's actually gone out and put his money where his mouth is, and he's offered him a bigger contract than apparently what Tottenham. I know this is all what I've heard. I don't say anything's true, but it's what was out there. He's giving him more money than Tottenham were offering. So he's actually gone out there and said, here's the money. Whereas we don't seem to. So is there a scenario where Daniel Levy or the Spurs or whoever it might be could have come in those last 2 weeks when it was all, going tits up, could have come in and said, okay, we'll give you 80 million for him and got the player. So I'm not saying this would have happened or could have happened. There's just some questions I've got that maybe might have been in that scenario.
The problem with this whole deal is that there was so many different parties involved in it, and whereas you'd think it'd be club to club, club to agent, this whole scenario was completely blown up in the air. And Spurs have had it before with release clauses, with when we tried to get, what was his name, João Moutinho from Monaco, and different players like that in the past. But this one has genuinely been quite impossible, and I don't think it's good business that if there's a release clause present that Spurs would stump up more money, in all honesty, because it's not good business for us. Because if you think we've already doubled his wages of what he's on at Forest, and I mean he's reported to be on about between 60 and 80 grand a week, we've doubled that to nearly 140 to 150, and now they've upped it again to nearly 200 as well. So if we think about it, the package would be closer to 100 million. We'd have to do if we did go with that principle. So I just don't think that'd be good business.
But could you make the argument that even though it's not good business on a financial sense, that's what Tottenham have to do to get to where we want to get to? We have to pay the money for it, and we haven't in the past 22 years of Enoch.
I think
we've got to that stage where we can go to it, and we haven't. So that's I'm not saying I agree with it or disagree with it. That's the argument I think is being made here. I'm
going to mute you all if I have to, because I need to. I want to pick up on the chat. There's a lot of people in. Adrian, I've had to turn my phone off because I kept muting it. I was trying to find out if the show's going out on X, because mine's showing Last Word on Spurs going out, and I don't know if
we've been hijacked. We've been hijacked. Oh my god.
So let me go back. Are we on?
We are on X. We are on X at the moment. I'm just checking, and we are. Yeah, we're on.
It is going out, but there's probably so many streams going on at the moment. It's just...
at the moment, Oto Spurs is out there, and Last Word on Spurs. So literally, we're at 38 followers, whereas everyone's at over 500.
We got nearly 70 here though, live here. So
I was trying to find Peter Gagayas. Peter is here in the house. Good evening, good people. There we go. Yeah, hang on. I need you to go through the chat. My only lasting coping method is that we have a ship. Yeah, listen, I talk about pre-season while I'm going through this. The best pre-season we ever had was when Ozzy Ardiaz was the manager. We won every game by about 12-0, and then the football started proper.
Thing was, I weren't alive at that point, so I can't remember it.
Oh dear!
I remember it well.
I remember under Juan de Ramos, we were battering teams by like several goals to nil, and then after 10 games, we were only on fucking 2 points. So pre-season
was that the season when Darren Bent was scoring goals for fun in pre-season, and then as soon as the season started, it was just gone. I remember one season we were winning like 5-6 games.
It was under Juan de Ramos.
Oh, was it? Oh, maybe.
It must have been 2009 because we won the League Cup under him in 2008, didn't we? So
yeah,
Darren Bent was scored. I think he scored so many goals. I think he had a couple of hat tricks in the pre-season friendlies, and then
it was 08, 09 season. Right, 08-09 season, and I remember Giovanni Dos Santos absolutely lighting it up during pre-season.
It turned out to be the worst player in the Premier League history for us.
Yep.
It's called an ID 10T failure. I think that's the technical term for it. But Dave, I wanted to bring you in here because this is going back to a broadcast you and I did with Ash Matic about a year ago, when Ash had put together a video of Morgan Gibbs-White's skills and, Peter, thank you so much, my friend. Thank you. But when Ash put together a video of Morgan Gibbs-White and what have you and said he's the player, he is absolutely the player we need to get and go for. And you and I, you in particular, being coach, were sceptical that this player wasn't good enough to take us to the next level. So now we've lost out on him. What's your view?
Listen, I think, yeah, I mean, even when we had signed him for 24 hours, I was impressed because of the squad that it looked like we were trying to assemble. You know, when you've got a Kudus, when you've got a Morgan Gibbs-White, when you've got, you know, we'd obviously re-signed Tell, and knowing how Frank, or thinking through how I think Frank wants to set up, I thought it would work. I still don't think he was what we necessarily needed. If it was an Eze, if it was a Siemens, if it was else, I might be a little bit more excited. But listen, we're in that ballpark. We're in that weird kind of situation at Spurs where you either pluck in the best players from lower down the league, or you're really trying to get those random talents that are spotted around Europe before Chelsea do. That's literally our targets. It's either, you know, from the Prem or whoever Chelsea haven't got yet, because that's the kind of talent that's going to probably take us to that next level, or at least help us assemble, you know, your 16, 17 man squad, which is what you need to compete in multiple competitions, and which we just haven't done. And I'll say this on every show I'm on. We don't assemble good squads. We've always had good 11s at our best. You think about the Poch team, we had a great first 11, but our squad, you know, when we're, you know, drawing 2-2 with Chelsea in the semi-final, and they bring on Hazard and Costa or whoever it was, and win 4-2, and we're bringing on Nkudu. You know, that shows us the difference in having a good transfer window and not. So I was excited for what Morgan Gibbs-White could do from a squad perspective, and also having competition. You know, people that Madison or Gibbs-White. I'm like, that's not for me to figure out. That's for them to figure out. Go fighting, have that competition in training, and prove you're the better player. You know, that's what you want. It's not 1A and your second string. It's 1A, 1B. It's that kind of competition. So missing out a year on, I'm now a bit like, okay, cool. But like I said, it's the 2 weeks delay, and I'm more concerned about that midfield because you know, I'm done with Bissouma, you know, and you know, as crucial as he was in that last 6 weeks or so of the season, especially the European run, I don't know. I think it's played out, and I think he needs to move on. Bentancur can still serve a role, especially as a more accomplished midfielder. He's more polished, but I don't think he's a long-term option, especially in that kind of more deeper 6 role. But he does play well in particular lineups, in particular game states. He's got a cultured way about him, so I'll keep him about for another season or two. Sarr can go hot or cold. I'm a big fan of his. Always have been. You know, I watched him a lot when we sent him back out on loan. But again, I think he's still. I think, to be honest, I think when you look at his career, he played a lot of football really quickly, and then he didn't, and then he played a lot more football. So I think actually his body's just adjusting to playing as much football at this level. I think that's why we're seeing him being inconsistent. Bergvall, you know me, I'm a big, massive fan of Bergvall. I'll give him the keys to my car, my house, whatever, and my midfield. So don't worry about that. So I'm looking who's going to partner him. I'm thinking who's next to him in that midfield. You know, that's the main thing. And I didn't think Morgan Gibbs-White was going to fix that. So I'm like, why have we spent 2 weeks? You know.
Can I ask you about Sarr? Because one of the questions I was going to put, but you've raised him now, is that to me Sarr's wasted by playing so deep. That he's got one of the players with the ball control, the power and the pace that can actually run in behind defences. That if he played in a kind of 8 or 10 role further up the field, he would be far more effective.
You know what? It's interesting because his profile is quite unique in our squad. I do see him playing in a deeper role, but I think you just have to. He's one of them partnership type players. I don't know if you remember that game. I think it was Milan. We played away in the Champions League or Europe. I can't remember, under Conte, when he hadn't played for a while, and then he came in and absolutely beasted in the middle. But it was that partnership. I think it might have been him and Højbjerg, or maybe it was, I can't remember who it was.
Skip. I think it's Oliver Skip.
Skip. There we go. Thank you very much. Sar and Skip. You know, and listen, whether you're a big fan of Skip or not, but the two of them really worked well as a partnership. And I think whatever you do with Sar, it has to be complementary. He can't. He's as talented as he is. I don't think he's one of the players that you can just go, you're everything that we need, and he's going to be able to do everything. I think it's all about making it as a complementary. So, and I think you notice that under Ange, he would only play him in certain combinations. You know, he's not a nailed-on player. I wouldn't probably see him as a 10 because I don't think his decision-making and kind of creativity and guys, he doesn't have that for those tight areas, you know, those 1-2s, those touches, whatever the case may be. I would like him to shoot a little bit more, especially from distance. But if he's going to do that, he's probably going to have to tighten up a bit. But yeah, let's see what happens. Let's see. You know, I think he can probably carry the ball with a bit more confidence. But you can do that. You know, like if you had a game with Sar and Gray, I think that could be quite complimentary because they both can get across the pitch quite well. Gray definitely has a bit more of a better defensive positioning, can break up the play a bit better. And then if Sar's carrying the ball forward, let's see what that can do. And then depending on who you've got in front of him, that might be a good combination. So it'll be interesting to see what Frank does, you know, from that perspective.
He's very composed in front of goal, isn't he, Sar?
He's very what, sorry?
Composed in front of goal.
Yeah, he's tucked a few away, hasn't he?
Yeah.
The thing about the Man United goal, and even grabbing a few assists, obviously you got the one in
Brentford away.
Yeah.
Man City.
Crucial points.
Yeah.
Crucial points, you know. To last minute one.
Let me bring Tom in because he's been quiet for a little while. Tom, are you disappointed, other than the fact that we've been humiliated a little bit, are you disappointed we didn't get White from a football point of view?
Well, yeah, I am disappointed because he's that level of competition that you want in a squad, as Dave was saying. Like, you want a squad, you don't want a first 11. Like, people moaning about, oh, well, if he comes in, where does Maddison play? Well, yeah, quite. That's the point. You want players competing for positions. So it's frustrating from that point of view. But I think, to be honest, none of us, seeing our squad as it is, you know, another sort of attacking midfielder wasn't really ever the priority. So it's frustrating. I would have liked to have had him in, but is it the end of the world? Absolutely not. You know, I'd much rather now go and take that 60 million and spend it on a deep lying playmaker who can progress the ball up the pitch, because that is something we are severely lacking, is deep midfielders who can actually break lines with passes. We're having to rely on Pedro Porro and Romero to do that. Or your alternative is you look at someone like a Paulinho, who is very good defensively and can step back into the defence to allow Romero to step forward to make those passes a bit more often without, you know, the fear of it being exposed from behind. But yeah, I'm frustrated by not getting Morgan Gibbs White, but I think there is without, you know, the fear of others out there that can do it. So you know, if you're looking for another creative player who isn't going to absolutely annihilate your thing, and again, you're looking at that young profile, then actually probably someone I would look at is El Canouse from Leicester. And he wouldn't break the bank. He would give you that attacking prowess and good on the ball dribbling and can play line breaking passes. But again, he's someone you get once you've done all your other business. Get that defensive midfielder who's good at passing the ball and progressing the ball forward. Get that clearly left back that we're going to need with Udogie being injured now and stuff like that as well. yeah, frustrating, but it's not the end of the world that we haven't got Morgan Gibbs-White. It just felt like we were moving in the right direction of wow, 150 million slapped down in the space of 2 days. Like we're actually building a squad to compete, and it's like 2 weeks later, nothing's happened.
Yeah, I think the football gods were on holiday that day. And then they woke up next morning and thought, hang on a minute, Tottenham signed two now, we can't let that happen.
Adrian, we disappointed we didn't get Gibbs-White?
I only want players that want to play for my football club. I've always been that way. If you don't want to play, if you're just only interested in money or things like that, I get that, but I only want that. On the Sarr situation, they've got to find what they want to get out of this guy. He's very versatile. He can play multiple roles, right? I see him more as an 8, right, box to box, because he's got boundless energy. But when fans have criticised him, also, hang about, we criticise players, they don't turn up in big games and all that, but Sarr does. Man City, Man United, he turns up. In the final, he won the ball in the top end of our half, broke to midfield, went down the midfield, ended up putting the cross in for whether you want to give the goal to Johnson or not. I'm giving it to him. He's a Spurs fan. I'm biased, right? So I'm giving it to him, right? So and that's it. And that's done and dusted because I'm God, right? So.
I spoke to Luke Shaw at some length about this, and he said he does.
I didn't get that, Ian. What you said?
What was that?
I said, I was being facetious. I said,
right. Luke Shaw. Yeah. I get it. Yeah, I get it. No, I mean, I like the player. There's no way I'm getting rid of him, right? He's got a lot to offer this club as a squad player, and they're all squad players. And like Dave has alluded to, you've got to have a squad of 17 or 18. You're allowed 5 subs, 2 concussion subs, 7. You know what I mean? You need a squad of 18 at least, right, to really compete on 4 fronts. You're never going to have a great squad of 25. You're never going to keep 25 superb players happy. It's not going to happen. No, I like Sarr. Big fan. The old joke: the world's covered with 71% of water. Sarr covers the rest. You know what I mean? He's got so much. And you're right. He's cool. He's a cool finisher. He took them goals yesterday well. He took them well.
Yeah.
I mean, but he's not a 10. He's definitely not a 10. He's an 8 to me. Maybe he could be a 6 because we need to see more of him. Maybe he could be a hybrid 8-6. And do that job. But for me, moment, I just see him as an 8.
For me, Sarr's a box crasher. He's a player who should be arriving late in the box, and he showed that yesterday that he's very good at doing that. And then he's got the composure to. You need him in and around that penalty area, but what you don't need him as is your creative focal point, which is why he cannot be a number 10 unless you're playing with 2 very creative wide players or have a Modric type player sitting behind him. We don't have that, so there's absolutely no way that you can rely on him to be your creativity. He's good at arriving late and finishing. He's a bit like Dele Alli. Dele Alli was very good at arriving late and finishing things, but the only advantage that Dele Alli had is that he had a bit more composure on the ball and was as good at finding a man as well. But in that terms of arriving late, I can definitely see him doing that. I think he profiles much more like Yaya Toure, just not as technically gifted at this present moment.
Yeah, I've always said that. Yeah.
The thing is with Sarr, he's obviously high energy, high box to box. Like we say, his composure is crap. He doesn't score enough goals if you want that. So he is kind of a cross between Moussa Dembele, who will run for days, and Yaya Toure with his high energy, high pressing mode. But you'd never get him as a 6. He's not defensively minded enough to be able to cover the back line, and he's not composed enough to be a shadow striker, as most people would like him to be, like Dele Alli was, and when Son was as well with Kane. So yeah, literally a midfield box 8 is probably the most you're going to get from him, unless you can retrain everything that he knows out of him, which is a 2-year process. And I don't think Spurs have the patience or time for that to do it, to be honest. We all want success now.
Callum is a great option to bring on, though, in games when you want to see a game out. I think he's a fantastic option for doing that. I really do. I mean, because if everyone's knackered, he's not. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
he's good, and he can stick a tackle in.
Him and Gray are both the same. They're both high energy midfielders, and I think, like you guys said earlier, if Gray gets up to being a sort of deep line playmaker / sweeper role that is envisioned for him in that 6, with Sarr in a pivot off of him, you then need a composed 10 in front of him, and not someone like Maddison or Kulusevski, who Kulusevski is very inconsistent, and Maddison can be very petulant and lazy as well. You need a high working midfield compared to, if you've got 2 hard-working midfielders in a 6 and an 8, you need a 10 who works hard as well. And I think that's the only reason why Morgan Gibbs-White may have been good as a 10/8 option, because he's a hard-working midfielder there. But I think he was a luxury signing, if anything. It's one that Spurs probably saw as a longer-term target, and they had an opportunity fall in their lap, if anything. That's why they moved for him, to be honest. But the whole profile they was looking for was a sort of versatile forward who can play off the left or across the front line, compared to just Gibbs-White, who can play as a 8 or a 10.
Let me bring in some names, Callum, because you had been chatting during the course of particularly the afternoon, which is my show needed sort of about 3 rewrites just before we went on air.
Well, you kept asking me questions, so I was always going to answer them. If you don't want to know, don't ask the question.
Oh, there's fun in that, but we need some credibility back, because someone was on Twitter and me on Saturday morning. Well, Shaggy1712 is my Twitter handle. Well, Shaggy, sort of, what have you got to say now? I thought, well, we were wrong. But Callum, you've got some really big news on this, man.
So it was reported to me earlier there is a hijack attempt in progress. We want to get a bit of payback on Chelsea after what they've done to us in the past. Simmons has always been a target, but it was more based on the left-wing targets going out there. There have been, or left-wing players going out, but because of the Gibbs-White stuff falling through, they think there's an opportunity to be had here. And the reason why they've moved for him is because obviously Chelsea have stagnated on the Simmons and Hatto deal a little bit. They expect them to be done a lot quicker. So Spurs see an opportunity here, but it's a 50-50 hijack. It's not a guaranteed one, but his sort of name has gone to the top of the list at the moment, at least to make up a little bit for the Gibbs-White debacle. Let's put it that way.
Would it be fair, Brad, if I bring you in, I'll go round the houses here, that whoever we sign, and I'm not saying we just sign anybody for the sake of it, the club needs a win-win here. And it needs a big win, and it needs it now.
Yeah, we need to sign 2 or 3 top players before the window closes. Only for obviously pragmatic purposes of playing in the Champions League and trying to, play in all 4 tournaments. But yeah, we do, and we also need it for psychological reasons. That the big Morgan Gibbs-White deal falling through, suddenly we're back to being Spursy again, and everyone's laughing at us. So we need that for psychological reasons. And I'm not saying that we should buy a player for psychological reasons. The Xavi Simmons thing, I don't know. I mean, it just seems to me like it's, sorry about Morgan Gibbs-White, but we're going for Xavi Simmons, and you wonder will it actually ever happen? Because a lot of big players Tottenham have been involved in, and it's never actually happened. So if it happens, great, no problems. Although we do seem to have, in various skill levels, quite a lot of wingers. So at some stage, we've got to sell some of them for the squad. I think we probably, I never thought I'd say this, but we seem to lack our attack at the moment seems a little bit limp. Whether Thomas Frank will be able to improve our players, but we probably need certainly a backup striker for Solanke, or a striker that will be better than Solanke. I like Solanke, don't get me wrong, but we need some sort of striker that can score goals. At the moment, we don't seem to be doing that. 0-0 at Leicester, Luton, 2 against Reading and playing Wickham. Richarlison, for me, I'm just waiting for the next injury to occur. But yeah, Lancashire probably not ready yet. Scarlett definitely not ready. Yeah, we need some strikers in this club, but people that put the ball away. I mean, against Luton, Tell was playing up front, and he's as a number 9. He's not a number 9. He's a left wing or a right wing that comes in, can do that, but he's not a striker. And we need this. So yeah, I think the club has got to. Yeah, we need to buy 2 or 3 top players before the window shuts. We might have the advantage at the moment that it's Thomas Frank's first season. I still think it's going to take It's going to take to the new year for things to fully settle down. If I remember when Pochettino first started, we had a win against Everton at Tottenham at White Hart Lane in around about October, November, and the pundits were saying, this is the Pochettino method. We've actually seen his method for the first time this season. So it takes time. We've got a team.
Poch was nearly sacked in his first 6 months.
He was.
After the Aston Villa game when we lost it.
Yeah.
Spurs
was
seriously considering getting rid of him.
I just think the win away at Villa that saved his job.
Yeah.
The win away at Villa.
I just think that a team that have gone from Conte's nth degree tactics to Postecoglou's arguably lack of tactics to now another nth degree tactician in Thomas Frank. They have to learn this sort of stuff. They've got to do it. I always say it's muscle memory. They've got to do it as a second nature, that when they're playing the game, I'm supposed to be in this position or that position or whatever. That will take time. This is why I think it will take at least in the new year to gel. That's why I think something like an FA Cup will be something to really try and get our teeth into and go for. As far as the league's concerned, top 8, top 9 maybe. Champions League, we've got to try and basically get to the knockout round, depending on what the draw is. But yeah, I just sort of think that we need to get this squad ready for the season. Even if it takes to the last day of the transfer window, I think because it's Thomas Frank's first season, we've got a little bit of wiggle room there, I think, to get things going as the season goes on.
Dave, we've spoken on this show before about Simmons, and with Callum, some knowledge he has that this is a player that we've got an eye on, but he wasn't somebody we were going to be interested in unless we could get Richarlison out, unless we could get Solomons out and get Son out. I mean, I think those 3 are targeted, an awful word to use, but targeted to leave.
Don't forget our favourite Spaniard as well, who seems to be constantly on holiday or in rehab.
Yeah, Gil, he's injured again, so we can't flog him. And Gil as well, another one to get out the door to create space. Now, it would appear Chelsea, because they need to sell before they can buy. They've got a similar problem. I mean, they've only got 227 players at the moment. And there's some stupid law in the game that they've just introduced. You can only play 11 at a time. So I think Chelsea are a bit...
Well, did you hear it's bring your kid to work day at Chelsea for the foreseeable rest of the transfer window? So they're just going to keep doing it until we get there. And then the daycare opens up after that.
But this is what I'm saying. I think Simmons has suddenly gone to the top of the list because, one, he might be available. Secondly, the club needs a win. And thirdly, he's actually a bloody good player. Is he the kind of player you would like to see at the club?
Yeah, again, he's not that midfielder that I've been talking about all show, is he? But he's a top talent, is he? He is. I think he's better than Gibbs White if you're going to spend that kind of money. He flattered to deceive at the Euros, which is when I think everyone tried to kind of lock in and say, okay, who is this kid? Is he really the real deal? And maybe that was a bit too much pressure for him. But listen, he's undoubtedly talented. It'll be a marquee signing. It'll be a great opportunity if we can stick one up on Chelsea. And I think, yes, like has already been said, that psychological boost. I actually read it earlier today on social media that after a setback, in the transfer market, teams like Arsenal, Chelsea, whatever, they usually feed in a little transfer rumor to the journalists to kind of keep the hopes up. Spurs just go silent. We're just sitting there moping for 72 hours or whatever until the next link. So if this is the case and they want to do something aggressively, go for it. I've always had a gripe with the fact that we tend to not do business before our pre-season tour. We head off to whether it be South Korea, the Far East, whatever, or America, or wherever we're going, and then you have this weird Daniel Levy's out there, but he's cutting deals, and is a player going to join up, and then we have 2 games of the Premier League, and we're we've won one, drawn the next one, and then we're buying 2 players, and it all gets really messy. And Harry Redknapp in his car on deadline day, the rest. So I've always had this thing about and I said it on social media on our podcast account, just like it'll be nice to see us do business. And I thought when Kudus got signed, I thought, maybe it might be a bit of a change. And clearly, maybe with Gibbs White, they wanted to do that. And this delay has kind of taken the life out of the momentum and kind of a sense of feeling, optimism maybe. So if we were to get this deal over the line, that'd be nice. It'll be a great boost and a statement of intent, because clearly they do want to get a versatile forward. It looks like Frank is one of them coaches who likes to share his goals around. I anticipate a better season for Solanke, but I still, I do think we do need more creativity in the team, more maybe goals, long distance shooting, set pieces. There's definitely different ways we can generate, whilst also trying to sort things out, in different areas of the pitch. So let's see how it goes. If this thing develops, but the worst thing that they can do is for this to go public, us try, and then fail, and he still ends up against Chelsea. That would be that double boost, guys. We might as well just forget the Super Cup. I'll see you, first game of the season. I'll see you there, guys.
Tom, let's bring you in here. First of all, what would you think about this signing? But secondly, I think from what I'm thinking here is this is a deal. If he wants it and we can do a deal, we're doing it in the next 48 hours. If this deal isn't done by this time on Tuesday night, it won't be happening because he's hanging on for Chelsea.
I mean, a fantastic player. He is a number 10. He can play out on the wing, but he's not as good out there. He's much better in the middle.
I'm getting
quite one-footed, but no, he's a decent player. And the thing is, if they think they can get it done, then go get it done. Like, don't hang around. But yeah, Dave's right. You are sort of hanging yourself out for an absolute another fucking spanking if you make it known that you've gone in for him and then don't get him. I mean, the thing for me is that Chelsea at the moment are trying to not only get Simmons in, but they're also trying to get that Jorel Hato as well.
Who we should be getting as well.
If we got him and Simmons, oh my god, our team suddenly transformed a little bit. Like that is a fantastic, duo that we should be looking to get in. And the thing is, you just go to them and say, look, you come to us, you're guaranteed a hell of a lot more playing time than you're guaranteed at Chelsea with the other 30, 40, 50 players that you're going to be competing with.
The problem with Chelsea, they don't have any other left back apart from Cucurella. So they're in the same
position. I know. So that is the one area where they have a bit of a dearth of talent, or not a dearth, I don't know how to say. But yeah, they're just. But yeah, I mean, someone's saying about Chelsea doing daycare. So it was you, Callum, saying that they're doing daycare. Are they doing that so they can sell it to themselves for 200 million to make sure they pass PSR roles as well?
To be honest, I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they sold their player kitchen to us. They'll sell their canteen to God knows who and all that. They've
just managed to sell João Felix to Saudi Arabia for 44 million. Ironically, to a team that Clear Lake also. Sponsor and put money into as well. But anyway, enough about Chelsea. Yes, Simmons, yes, good player. I would have him. But again, agree with Dave. Although he's a good player, and I think we should definitely be getting him in if we have the opportunity, we shouldn't be doing that at the detriment of getting in players that we need in positions. Looking at players like Belieber, looking at players like Stiller, looking at, along the lines of that. they would be the players that I would be looking at first, rather than. But I know obviously sometimes you have to take the opportunities when they arise.
Absolutely, 100%, Tom, on that. Adrian, if we didn't get Gibbs White and we got Simmons, that's a win, isn't it? That's a big win.
Well, Simmons is technically far superior to Gibbs White, but he's not a defensive midfielder, is he? I mean, and I like him. If we had the choice between him and Eze, I'd be pushed. I might lean towards Eze because he's homegrown and we've only got 7. So that's another issue we got to address, right? We need to get that 8th homegrown player in. But I like Simmons, what I've seen. I really like this player, and he's 23, and he's got a high ceiling, unless he's 24 now. But I think last time I looked, he was 23. Yeah, his numbers are good. He's at Leipzig, isn't he? Or yeah, he's at Leipzig.
Yeah, he's Leipzig left winger.
Yeah. I just think like he would give us something extra. What else I think he's got over Eze? I just think he's a bit more consistent. But that is in the Bundesliga. We all hear about Eze when he scores the fantastic goals or comes up with some trick, but you don't hear it as often, you know. Yeah, I'd like Eze or Simmons seriously, but I would take him. We've still got to go and look for.
Would you, Simmons? Sorry, I know I've cut across you, but would you play Simmons in the 10 role that that we were looking at Gibbs White for? At least I'm assuming that's where they were looking at Gibbs White for.
Well, even if it's Maddison or Kulu, because one thing about Frank is his number 10. You look at Damsgaard, that's a hard-working number 10. Maddison might find his work cut out this season, as will probably Johnson. People moan about Johnson's lack of work rate, but I think he was told to hang out on the wing spaces, right? I mean, everyone has to work under a Frank system. They all have to work. There'll be no shirkers or dickheads, as he says, right? There'll be none of that, right? And I mean, like, I would love Simmons. I would love him. I think he is a marquee signing, and at his age, he's the best player the Dutch have got, and he's only going to get better.
Yeah.
Well, the Dutch have got Van der Ven, and they've got Van Dijk. So I mean, I think they're doing all right.
Yeah.
I just had Adrian, I had to do it, mate.
No.
Yeah. They've got windmills. They've got a lot of windmills and tulips.
I know Sam's been punching a lot of names into this group chat, and I think literally every single one that I've seen, I just wanted to go no.
But it's fun. We are Spurs TV. I wish I knew your name. But that's the wrong one, because you've been talking about Brian Gill. And listen, this is Paris that wanted Brian Gill. I mean, you take one look at Brian Gill and say there is no bleeping way that he's a Premier League footballer. Not with that build. You know, there's just no way. And so that, to me, that was a chronic piece of. But
we'd have been better off keeping Lamella, in all honesty.
Yeah,
that's the thing. He literally stole Lamella's playbook, didn't he? As they swapped, it was like, okay, how do I get injured every transfer window and ensure that I stay at the club for 5-6 years and they can never shift me, and I end up at Sevilla every so often? That's what I do. Lamella playbook.
Look, there are a lot of good players out there we can go and get. We've shown we've got 60 million because we're in for Gibbs White. We could put, as Brad alluded to earlier, we could put 20 mil down on 3 players. I'm optimistic we're gonna have a good window. And as for in midfield, if you want a beast in midfield, go and get David Fratesi. He's an animal. I think he's an animal. I mean, I'm a big fan, right? But that's only my opinion. But, others will throw pelters at me for that. And understandably so, because they always do that.
Adrian, I think you've got too much time in your retirement looking at comp videos, mate. I'm not going to lie. I think you need to get a hobby, maybe gardening or something like that.
Alan, you want to be a co-founder of a station with him when you get bombarded with names, videos, YouTube podcasts, reports. It's like
Well, I get all of it now. He sends them all to me now. He sends all the same to me, and I know No, to be honest, Adrian's not wrong. Fratesi is a good player. It's just a lot of these foreign names are where we're getting hung up on at the moment, and I know we're going to cover it later, but there's much, much bigger issues which will dictate our transfer business than just a position. It's about compliance, and it's about quotas, and it's about regulations as well that we need to meet. And that's what is the underlying issue. This window, next window, probably the next 3 windows we've got to address.
How did Chelsea get away with all this? They seem to be buying every player every day.
Because they've got enough homegrown players in their squad. They've got enough homegrown players and homegrown players as well. We don't.
Because
let me just throw this up, guys. Let me just throw this up because we've only got 7 homegrown. I don't want to take over Ian's show, right? But I just want to bring this up. We need another homegrown, right? These are midfield options, right? Walton, Hayden Hackney, James McAtee, Harvey Everett, Jacob Ramsey, Kobe Mainoo. I don't know if we're going to. Ian's probably put Garnacho on it. I'm not a fan of Garnacho. Just that, not at his age. He needs to develop, right? But go on, Ian.
No, well, go on, because actually that was the next slide I was going to bring up. But
right. I mean, look, Walton, love him. Hackney, I would take him for what he's doing at his age, but then he's a work in progress. McAtee done well. Harvey Elliott, he smashed it in the Euros for England and winning that tournament. Ramsey, he's got good numbers, but I actually think Bentancur's better. Kobe Mainoo, he's 20. So again, I've only watched him a few times for England. These are all talented players, but who would you choose, guys? Dave, who would you pick?
Well, go on, Callum, I'm going to bring you in last because obviously we've had a chat about this. So I'm up to speed. We're up to speed on who's realistic here. So let's get everybody else. So Tom, Dave, Brad. Well,
Dave, go
on, Dave.
Oh, okay. Me first.
Yeah.
So from this list, Adam Wharton, he'd be my top pick. Garnacho shouldn't be on this list.
Yeah, exactly.
Please.
Sorry about that.
I know, Cal, I know me and you have spoken as well. But if Garnacho is in our club, you may not see me at the stadium until January at least. I might have to go into a period of mourning because that's just that's hell. But no, Adam Wharton would be my top choice. I like Mainoo. But actually, I was thinking about if we still want this Morgan Gibbs White-esque. I like James McAtee. I think he's a top talent. But yeah, out of this list, I would go for Adam Wharton. Hackney's a work in progress, but I think Gray would end up being better than him anyway. Personally, I'm a massive fan of Archie Gray. I just think we just need to give him time. I see it. Listen, I'm not going to rave too hard, but
Elliot, Dave,
yeah. I think he flatters to the sea. I don't know if he's got 38 games in him. And what I mean by that, yes, he done the Euros. I saw that in the Euros against his age mates, but obviously he's always been ahead of his age mates. So that's not really the metric for me. I'm going, if I need you to take us for a 10, 15 game stretch, can I trust you? If I'm playing, if we get to a Champions League quarterfinal, am I trusting Harvey Elliott to start that game? I'm not sure yet. I don't know. I'm not always convinced on him just yet, even though he popped up with some very crucial goals for Liverpool last season off the bench. Coming on for Salah and scoring some crucial goals in their run to the Carabao Cup final. I don't know. I'm just not really sold. Jacob Ramsey, again, talent, but I think again in that kind of midfield, Bergvall, I'll trust him to develop into something beyond that. And that's all of them together. But Adam Wharton would be my guy because again, that's Wharton, Wharton +1, Wharton. Then your combinations, your profiles, I think we're covered in that.
I've got to ask you something, Dave, because you mentioned the name Archie Gray, and I see some stuff, and I won't use a word I'd like to describe it, but saying it's a complete waste of money. He's utterly useless. What's he ever?
No.
Say to that.
What do I say to that? I say when it happens, when the bids are coming in for 100 million, stay on that side, guys. Don't worry about it. Just
Can I offer? I'm going to back Dave up on this point and say whoever wrote that, have they actually seen have they seen a game of football where youngsters progress through time? I mean, they're not the finished article. He's 19 or 20. How blinkered are you? Seriously, you might have been one of the people that gave me a load of crap last night. Let's put it that way.
I think from last season, where the fan base was very toxic, they were using a shotgun approach to hit every aspect of the football club, every player, and I get that. All I'm going to say about Archie Gray to those that threw pelters at Archie Gray, go and watch the videos I've watched. Go and watch him playing when he bossed the midfield against Chelsea. And then consider this, right? The kid was 18. He's come into the Spurs team. They put him in at right back. They put him in at left back. They played him at centre back. He had a good first half as a defensive midfielder against Brighton in the last game, which no one gave a shit about because we just won the Europa League, right? And this kid is I mean, he might not be as sexy as a Bentancur looking and all that. When I watch these videos, I don't know what Dave watches. Probably Dave's more skilled than me. He's a coach. He looks for more things. But the three things I look for, if players with vision who move the ball quickly can make it happen. If he's playing as a defensive midfielder, one thing this kid's got, he's got a pass in him. He looks. He makes time and he looks. He's not slow in that position, right? I think this kid's got it all to be a absolutely superb superstar. I really do. And like others, just all I'm saying is I'm never browbeat people in my opinions. But if you're going to criticise a player, fairly or unfairly or whatever, go and look at the videos first, because I'm pretty sure people haven't seen enough of this kid, right?
Yeah, he's a top talent. And listen, I think what we saw last season was the first half of the season, I think he played very well, even out of position, and in a team which had no support,
cohesion,
defensive, no cohesion, no real defensive structure and emphasis. He didn't play to his strengths, but yeah, he did okay. And then he ran out of steam. And I think similar to other players, and I think he took him out of the firing line because he physically in his first, season in the Prem, I don't think it was right to then keep throwing him in as centre mid. I then wouldn't have put him in for his first game at centre mid against Liverpool at Anfield or whatever it was, when they're about to win the title. That's probably not the fairest thing to do, but hey, that's what happened. But I think we're going to see a different Archie Gray. I think a more settled Archie Gray under Thomas Frank. Thomas Frank wanted him, remember? That was the hijack there. So I'm excited to see how he develops. And if he turns out to be a £105 million player like Declan Rice, like some of the comps are saying, who, remember, when he first came through, was playing at centre-back. And many defensive midfielders do that shift. It helps them see and help them cover those spaces that they often find themselves in. They play centre-back, they do a shift in maybe full-back positions. That's just kind of almost like a par for the course in their kind of development. So I'm not upset at last season for Archie Gray in that respect. Let's see what happens. But if we're going to sign one of these players, and if we could bring Adam Moore in, I would love that. But Kobbie Mainoo is not a bad shot.
Before I bring others in, there was about 35 unread messages in the chat, so I better go through. I drive HGV girly. I don't know what that is. So
Ian, Ian, if you see, I've been going through the thing and looking at that Sam's messages, and none of them make sense. So I just wouldn't even bother clicking on it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't know whether he's drunk or whatever he's smoking. God knows what.
I was close to timing him out, if I'm honest.
You can time him out. I'll knock him out. There we go.
Well, I think we'll have some news on that. Ryan, good evening, Ryan. Glad you're not a Forest supporter, otherwise I'd have to put you out, pal. But you're the West Midlands, not the East. So welcome along. We're gonna talk about this. Brett, isn't it? It's Brett. Opposed to TH.
Yeah, it is Brett.
Yeah, just make sure I'm getting people's names right. Yeah, I don't know if there's actually much other than people talking to each other, and not time to panic yet. No, we don't panic. No here. And rule number one of this channel: absolutely no moaners. Let's try to keep it positive. You know.
Yeah, rule 1, no moaners. Rule 2, makes sense.
Yeah.
What's your guys' take on the fact that Frank tends to play what I've watched, the little of them I've seen since he's become our manager? He tends to play a narrow midfield pivot. What's this obsession with like a midfielder that's like just defensive?
I think Ian, Adrian, sorry. Yeah. I think from my perspective.
Sorry, just before you go on, I know I'm interrupting you, but Dave needs to shoot off. So
yeah.
Big up, Dave. Thanks for coming on.
Dave,
we'll get you back.
See you later, mate.
We'll have
Dave, have a good week.
He might not come.
Actually, on that note, can I make a comment on the last thing, because I need to go as well?
Yeah.
First of all, Archie Gray, Dave and Adrian can comment on him tactically, blah, blah, blah. But when I watched him last season, I didn't think he was 18. So I think he's a top talent, and I think we need to nurture him and find his best position. But I never thought of him as an 18-year-old. He looked like a proper player. Going to that list that we had of the midfielders, I can seriously see Liverpool having a good shot at winning everything this year. You know, the amount of players they got. So why would Harvey Elliott want to leave? I can't see that ever happening.
He wants game time.
Yeah, maybe, but you know, sometimes you look at Solskjaer at Man United, didn't get much game time, scored the winning goal in the Champions League final. You know, so why would you leave Liverpool if you've got that sort of chance? I like Kobe Manu when I've seen him at Man U and when I've seen him for England. But I have to agree with Dave. For me, Adam Morton's a player. And that's the thing about when we all got really positive, didn't we? We signed Kudos, we signed Morgan against White, and everyone was talking about, we're going to sign Adam Morton. All that optimism was up there.
Just died.
Sort of disappeared. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, I as I say, Adam Morton, I saw him in the FA Cup semi-final and the FA Cup final. And in those two big games against good opposition, he was brilliant. So for me, that would be the player that I think we should spend the money on and go all out for. But whether that will happen, who knows? And that's what I'm saying. This is where, if we want to be a big club, I'm sorry, we've got to pay the money. We've got to pay the money for these players. Mm-hmm. You can't go and saying, oh, no, it's not worth that, not worth that. We're going to be careful here. We've got to pay the money. Will that will happen or not? I don't know. Anyway, lads, I need to go. I need to get some food. I've got to work tomorrow as well. It's been great chatting with you all. And have a great week, everybody. Okay?
You said you had a couple of beers. Just remember, was it W.C. Fields who said, yeah, work is the curse of the drinking classes?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
you have a great week, Brad. Catch you later.
Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Okay. See you later, man.
Tom, you were going to talk, just actually before we get you in, there's 122 odd now. We've been up over the 100 for a little while. If you haven't liked and subscribed to the channel, please like and subscribe to the channel. And please set your alert button to all the alerts, because we do some shorts. I'm desperately hoping that I'm going to have some signing news to bring in the week. If you are watching on X, because I know we have a fair following on X, Adrian, it doesn't matter. Can you just go? You don't have to do it now, but make a note to just go on YouTube to the Spurs Diehards channel. You only have to put into YouTube Spurs Diehards, and we will come up. And hit a like, hit a subscribe, and hit the alert for all of our notifications. That gives the channel so much more credibility. You know, we are double winners. We did win the double. Best newcomer channel and the most underrated channel. So it really helps us with our profile. So please, if you're watching on x.com, go to our YouTube page and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button.
The link's here, guys, if you want to come to us on and we've got a community there. So apart from the Spurs Diehards, XCOM have started communities, which means that if I post loads of stuff and annoy the hell out of like Callum and Tom and Ian here, right, when I'm posting videos and all the stuff I do, then you can find us a lot easier if you're in the community, because all the posts would be in the community, whereas a normal post would just get lost among the hundreds of thousands of posts that are posted, right? So you can find us here and like join the community. We've got 18 members in here at the moment because we only just started, but you know.
The problem is we're all part of the community. Why do you keep sending them to us? Give us a break.
Yeah.
Yeah, he thinks we've got nothing else to do. That's it. But, right, Tom, you've been waiting patiently, and I put you off and put you. So, sorry, you're out of time, Tom. I need to bring that.
Oh, sorry. To be honest, I can't even remember what I was going to initially say, but I was talking about these players. I mean, yeah, Adam Wharton is the clear obvious one that you would take from that, and then for me, the next one based on what we need would be Kobe Mainoo, just because he can play as that deeper kind of in that double pivot role, whereas none of the Hackney can play in the pivot role, but not all the others that you got there are either like wingers come number 10s. Like Jacob Ramsey has spent most of his time playing as a left winger for Aston Villa. He's sort of been interchanging with Morgan Rogers and stuff like that. And Harvey Elliott spends a lot of his time out on the right wing. Garnacho is obviously clearly a left winger and stuff like that. So if you're looking for a midfield option, then yeah, Adam Wharton's the clear favourite there. Again, as per the last week, if it's going to be taking upwards of 80-90 million to get Adam Wharton in, I think there's better value for money out there in terms of player, but when you're also having to tick off homegrown and meet those sort of quotas, then for a player who's going to make a difference to your squad, then you are probably going to be looking at 80 million as a flat rate anyway, to be honest with you. So I'm trying to think what it was that I was about to go into. We're talking, but
I can bring you back. And by the way, this is the sort of thing that happens to Adrian and I all the time. So,
but I was about to get into the flow, and you completely cut me off, and now I can't remember what the hell it was I was going to say.
You two are ruining
terrible
me
hosting
every weekend now.
Terrible hosting skills.
Yeah. Callum,
if I remember it, I'll butt in.
Yeah, please. You're still in your 20s, aren't you?
No.
No, it's me that's still in my 20s.
Oh, right. I thought I heard sort of say something you were 28 or something like that.
No. I'm early 30s. We'll
early 30s. Tom, I know around that, aren't you? About 32, 33. So it does. When you double that and then you go in the kitchen, what the fuck did I go in the kitchen for? And it happened time, I'm afraid.
To be honest, the second I became a dad,
we'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Right, come on, Callum. Let's go through this list, because I think everybody knows. To be honest with you, if we didn't do it, all right, we want another left back, but we also know the way that Thomas Frank sets up, that he might well use Mickey van der Ven in that left-sided centre-half role. So much as it would be useful, and there's talk about the boy Dennis, isn't it? Dennis Kirkin coming back, grown, domestically trained, more than a useful player, can understand that. But if we didn't do it, let's assume in Romero nobody else leaves. If we did nothing with our defence, nobody would be over worried. But midfield and forward line, particularly in terms of creativity, ball winning, and goal scoring, is a mess. So I think every supporter realises we need to seriously upgrade this if we're going to get where we want to get to as a club.
Yeah, definitely sort of the priorities are the front line, because like everyone's alluded to, we've been devoid of goals for a while now. We went from like the top scorers in the league for like 6-7 months down to nearly 6th or 8th in the end last season, and it just showed the drop off in players. So yeah, the front line, at least one more versatile forward. They're going to look for this sort of deep lying playmaker / CDM role, sweeper, whatever you want to call it. And then the next level is the left back or left centre back role, whether they can get someone versatile like Van der Ven or Sirkin to come in there. That's sort of ideas. And don't be shocked to see someone, if Dragusin does stay along, playing as sort of a right back because of Frank's sort of idea of this flat back three that comes in with one fullback pushing on at times. It's so difficult at the moment because names just get thrown out there and fed to us and everything like that. And we've got this midfield list here. Half of them are unrealistic, either based on price tag, value, everything like that.
One by one, Callum, because we've spoken about this, and certainly
Yeah.
you've been, that Adam Wharton is a hard deal to do, but we want to do it. So, are we giving up on that, or?
I think Wharton's still an option, to be honest. It's just the goalposts with Crystal Palace. They keep changing them. We get close to agreeing a fee, then they move it because they see that someone else has maybe been interested in him. So, very difficult deal to do. Hackney, there's reservations over him. He's seen as a good option, but the money they want is nearly 35 million for non-Premier League experience.
Yeah.
And also, there's a lot of other clubs interested. James McAtee is a no-go, I don't think. Harvey Elliott is an option, but they want probably 70 to 80 million for him. So we're talking the same money as Wharton, silly money. Jacob Ramsey, they've looked at for about 3 years. And from a personal point of view, I wouldn't touch him because he's meant to be a left wing, right wing, and a 10. And last year he got, 3 goals, 1 assist. He had less than Sarr, Bentancur, Basuma, Maddison, Kulu. He had less than Odebear, I think, as well, to be honest. So he's sort of stats are crap. Kobe interests me, though. And
he's 20. He's 20, though.
I think there's something there, though. I reckon they could move for him, to be honest. And I think that
he wants game time. That's what he wants more than money. That's what I've heard. But
I mean, he wants a bumper deal to feel valued at Man United, but he also wants that guarantee. And to be honest, I mean, I don't know whether Casemiro's extended his deal with Man United or not, but he's the sort of person that's in the way, if you get what I mean. So yeah, if they can do something, I've heard Mainu would be a very good option for that.
Let me, and it's really for everybody, you as well, Callum, but let me put this question out there. We talk about, the central midfield player, and Wharton. Look, Wharton is an upgrade, I suspect, on everything we've got there. But I mean, Alice, and you get that. Steve Parish doesn't really want to sell the player. So, and I've seen this in negotiations. Somebody keeps moving the goalposts because they don't really want you to hit the target. So you keep moving the target, so you're always going to miss it. But we talked about Gray, who can play in that role. Bergvall was developing with every game. Bentancur, at least while he's there, can play there. Biss is there at a pinch. We've got, well, we're going to have to move players out. We've got Sarr, who some people would play there. I personally think he needs to play further forward. And I've forgotten one. I always forget one. So, we've got at least 3 or 4 players that play in that role. I mean, Bergvall, Gray, Bentancur, and there's one other that can play in that central role that's that sort of pivot role, and I'm trying to think who it is, but we've certainly got players that can play, and there has to be, to me, a serious improvement. Where I think the issue is all right. I think for the right hand side, because I don't think Johnson's good enough, and I'm not convinced about Kulusevski right or centre, but we play Kudos wide right. You've got Simmons, who can potentially play left or central, but you still need one other top player to play either across that front three, if you like. Let's assume we are going to be able to move Richarlison, Son, Bissouma, Gill, Solomon. We've got to move them. Appreciate that. But
that's the problem. It's that we've got enough. We've got the numbers, but not the quality.
Yes.
That's the thing. And the quality comes, but we've got to move these players out. We've then got to consider the compliancy and the quota issues. And like Adrian said, we've got 7 homegrown, and that's 7 nation homegrown players. So every single player on here fits that, including Garnacho, because of how long he's been over here since coming over from Atletico Madrid in his younger age. So all these players fit that. But then you've still got to have the balance of the club homegrown and the quality. And I think these are probably the best young prospect English midfielders out there, apart from if you include someone like Rico Lewis, Nico Riley from Man City as well. So that's where you're sort of shopping in now. And these players aren't cheap because they've got the English tax on them. They've got the youngsters that we used to get Dele Alli at 5 million. That day's gone. So all of these players will come at 40 million plus, apart from maybe McAtee. And ideally, McAtee wants to be a starting 10. I can't see him starting over Kulu, Maddison. Can you, in all honesty? So that's what we've also got to consider.
Yeah. Although we're looking for that more defensive type midfielder, I would like to see these. I don't know if we've got 4 pre-season tour games, because I know we're playing Newcastle in Korea. But last time we played in Korea, we played the K-League team as well. Nothing's been mentioned about that.
I don't think we've got that this year. So we've got the Arsenal game, we've got the Newcastle game, and one more.
We've got Bayern, then we've got to come back and play Bayern, haven't we? Before we play PSG in the Super Cup, right? But I like the look of George Abbott, and I want to see him given a chance in these games. We've took 7 academy players that are going on that tour. Right, so they wouldn't be going if they weren't getting game time. But then when we play Arsenal and fans, you know what I mean. If we play them just to see how certain players will do and we lose the game, you know what's going to happen, right? Straight away on the podcast. But I like the look of George Abbott. I've watched him loads of times, and I mean, he was the under-18 captain. He got pushed into the 21s. He got the 21 captaincy as well. Yesterday he played well against Wickham. Right. I want to see a bit more of him, because you never know if they're good enough that age. And people say, "Oh, he's young." Yeah, but so are Graham Burglar. And they've done enough.
Adrian, you talk about ready though. I mean, with the best will in the world, George Abbott is not oven ready by a long stretch, and I think he's one that's really.
Look, he smashed it at Notts County. Absolutely smashed it there, right? I mean, we won't know unless we give him. Look, I'm not saying you're wrong, Ian. I'm saying that I'd like to see him play, as I would like to see Vuskovic play and Donnelly play all these pre-season games. We know what the first team players can do. I'm not worried about winning the games. I want to win them, obviously, right? Especially against Arsenal and Newcastle. You want to win the games, but what's more important to us? You know, what's more important to us is progress, isn't it? Right? And development as well. And these kids, if you can, like, if Abbott can just do enough during these games, he might find himself part of our squad for next season and not going out on loan again. If not, then he goes out on loan. But we need to find out. And you don't get the games to test these players, because, not being funny, academy level's great to watch. I've watched so many games, but it's just not a level enough for these players to develop. They need to go out to the championship. You know,
I agree with Adrian, where you've literally got sometimes. I mean, clubs have been forced into playing these players without any options. Mainu getting thrown in, Rashford getting thrown in, Riley, Lewis, Palmer, McAtee, Foden. All of these top players. Well, these players who we consider top prospects now, who have got 30, 40 plus Premier League games, have been thrown in due to injury crises and stuff like that. And they took their chances. So, yeah, I'm all for it. And I think, yeah, we probably could have someone there in Abbott. Same with Lancashire and Donnelly. It's just, we have to take the chances on them. And the problem is we've got too many overpriced foreign players who we can't get rid of, that we've got to keep their agents happy as well. So that's where the Premier League's diluted now, where we rely on so much overseas talent compared to where we are at home. And that's why so many academy prospects don't break through.
part of the problem, isn't it? That the Premier League is so rich, even compared to the top Spanish leagues, Italian leagues, German leagues, etc., that English clubs will always end up paying absolutely top dollar to get players in the door. But when we come to sell them, particularly if they're being sold overseas, we can't sell them for love nor money.
Exactly.
And it's why foreign clubs, players develop at a younger age, because they haven't got the money to go out and buy like the Premier League has to fix a problem. So the youngsters get developed much younger because they're forced to bring them through. Whereas here, we think twice and we go, even look, all the clubs in the Premier League got money to go out and buy players. And you find that the ones that do come through, the majority of the ones that come through are from the less wealthier clubs in the Premier League. Then they come through. I mean, Man City, I love Foden. I mean, like, how long did it take him to come through? Sancho couldn't get a time. He went off to Dortmund, went to Man United. You look at all these players. When you're talking about, look at the players Chelsea are buying. Are they young players? Young players will go to Spurs, they'll go to Chelsea, they'll go to Arsenal, Man City. They're excited because straight away they're going to get loads of money. And then reality kicks in. You're not getting a game time. You're not getting a game time. You get money. You're a millionaire now, but you're not getting a game time.
No. Let me go. It's a World Cup year, which may influence some players who think I won't get in my national World Cup squad unless I'm getting game time for my club. But let's just bring in Hackney, not oven ready. I mean, I would go with that. And I think if they're looking to would you say they're looking at 35 million for a player that's never played in the Premier League? I mean, I just think that's mind you, we paid 40 million for Gray, having said that. But Patch Thomas, quality chat. Thank you. We do our best.
Can we please get rid of this phrase, not oven ready? This is really miffing me off the last couple of shows. I'm not going to lie.
You'll destroy my argument, Jill.
It's Adrian come up with oven ready, like a bleeding turkey. And let's be honest, Tottenham have signed a lot of bloody turkeys, haven't they? Ryan, I tell you what, from the stuff, Callum sent me an exchange from him and one of the ITKs, and I gather Liverpool are looking for significantly more than 40 million. I haven't got a price. I mean, I think at 40 million, I take that deal. We've got Mainu is not for sale. Man United are going to have to raise some money somewhere. And if he's not getting a game, as Callum said, because of Casemiro, I think he could be tempted. Adrian, you said he's only on 25 grand a week.
Yeah, and they took it 180k, but apparently what I heard was that he wants game time more than the money, which is, I love that if that's true. I love it, 25k, 280k. He knows Man United is still looking to bring players in because they had a disastrous season like us, so that's going to push him further down the pecking order, right? He's not going to get the game time. He'll get, like some of our academy players, they might get the odd sporadic chances of playing.
Can I just say, I am literally going to kill Brett. He's just posted a comment in there, and I'm going to kill him for that. I'm going to get him, I swear.
But while you're there, Callum, I mean, we've had this issue with Son and Richarlison. Are they staying? Are they going?
Tom, I'm going to do you as well because you keep giving me crap as well.
Yeah. Well, hang on.
Yeah. Okay.
You can get one back. Douglas Luiz is the one. We're not in for him, are we?
Better passer than Paulino, and I don't want either, to be honest. I want something better if there is better out there.
So I remember what I was going to go into. Adrian asked about why is if Frank's always playing a double pivot, why do we want this need for this defensive midfielder? The reason why is because we don't have one. And what you want is you want options. Yeah, you want options in that midfield so that you can play. If you've got a double pivot, then having players that you can rotate and swap and change and pick for the team that you are playing. And Frank is well known for adjusting his tactics for the team that he is playing. So having that more defensive-minded player that you can put into that will help with that. And like I said, having that defensive-minded player who knows the game well, can read the game well, and can see, oh, Romero's just gone past me with the ball. I need to sit back into that position. Having a player who is able to do that is really beneficial. Don't forget that when Spurs were in their pomp with I have woken up, cheers, Brett. I only talk when I'm asked. When we was in our pomp with Pochettino, you had Dembele, and who did you have next to him? Wanyama. Wanyama was a defensive midfielder, and even before we brought Wanyama in, who did you have next to him? Eric Dyer. And Eric Dyer was that player who dropped back into the defence. So you need that defensive-minded person. Now, if we're talking about, we need to hit this homegrown quota, yada, 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 looking at those none of those midfielders, Adam Wharton, I would absolutely love for us to get. I just think 70, 80 million for him is a lot of money for a player who hasn't even managed a full season worth of games at Premier League level. So if we're talking about that, then actually, okay, I thought Abbott played really, really well in that friendly, but he looked like a player who was still quite fit in comparison to some of our other first team players, and I think Abbott's got a really good mentality. I think he is desperate to make it at Tottenham, and I think he'll do everything that he wants to do. There's a reason why he's been given the captaincy, at every level that he's been at. I think he would be a good one to keep around, if only for his versatility. The fact that he can play right back, he can play centre back, he can play in midfield. I also think Donnelly could have a part to play this year as well, and he could be your sort of creative player. So instead of getting one of those midfielders that we've listed, actually it now starts to make more sense that we're looking at a Paulinho, getting him in on a loan with maybe a small obligation or no option to buy it at all. He comes in, he gives you that midfield solidity, and not only that, he's an experienced player that can build up someone like a Gray, who can build up someone like an Abbott, teach them the parts of the game that they're not going to know yet, the mental side of being a defensive midfielder that can help with that. Then you take that that money that you're looking at spending on one of those players, and you actually spend it big on another striker or big on another winger, or that's going to really, really improve us at that top end of the pitch. I mean, we cannot go into a season where Solanke is our only recognised striker. Like, people say Richarlison, but Richarlison is not a striker. He has played more games from his career as a left midfielder / left winger than he has playing up front. So the fact that Solanke got a knock the other day, this guy was at Bournemouth, never got a bloody injury, comes to Tottenham, and he's picked up a couple of knocks and stuff now. Like, I don't know what it is about our club, but we cannot go into the season with just having Solanke. So actually, is it worthwhile going and spending big on a striker? Is it worthwhile going and spending big on a left winger if we are going to be, losing Son, if we are going to be moving Richarlison on, if we're going to be moving Solomon on, then then you start looking, well, we've only now got, Odebear and Tell that can play as that kind of like left wing. So that would make more sense to me than necessarily the midfielder, even though I do feel we really are crying out for a deep lying playmaker who can progress the ball up the pitch quickly. But I see more value in players like Stiller, as I've mentioned a few times now, than I would in someone like Adam Wharton. But it's a tough one. It's a juggling act, and it's one that the club aren't managing very well at this moment in time, seemingly as to what they best want to do. But we need to start getting some players out. We need to start getting some players in. Like, that's the crux of the situation.
Let me
Callum, what about these? Oh, go on. Sorry, go on.
Can I? Sorry, I wanted to catch up on the chat before we move that discussion on. Sorry, Mr. B. I don't know who Mr. Beehive of Football Chat is.
Mr. B is a massive Brentford fan. Very nice bloke. I did a Premier League podcast with him a couple of years ago.
Oh, hence the Mr. Beehive, yeah?
Yeah.
Brentford Bees, yeah?
Beehive,
okay.
Yeah. So this is who... so is another Harvey Elliott, would Brentford take him? Would he go to Brentford? I don't know. I think he'd see that as very much a downward move, I think. I don't want to be rude, but I don't know if I'm a Liverpool,
it depends what Harvey Elliott wants. Like we were saying earlier, why Adrian was asking why would he leave Liverpool? Well, he wants to play football, and actually that's admirable. So many times we moan at players who just sit at a team, never getting appearances just because that team's on. Like, he's been at Liverpool, he's won a Premier League, he's won a Champions League, he's won a League Cup. Like, in his time being there, he's got those winners' medals. Now what he wants to do as a young player is go and prove that he can. And the thing is, if he is good enough, He can step down to a Brentford. He could step down to whoever it might be, play, succeed, and then he'll get his big move either back to Liverpool or back to another big team. I think Harvey Elliott does have the potential to be he's got the ability to become one of the best English midfielders in the league.
Yeah.
But does he have it up here? I don't know. And he comes across as a bit of an idiot as well. That's the problem.
He smashed it in the Euros for the under-21s when I won that.
Tom, where are you playing him?
Well, the problem is I probably would see him as. It depends where he wants to play. Like, is the situation that actually at Liverpool he's been forced to play in the right wing position because that's the only available position for him to play. He wants to. As far as I'm aware, he wants to play in the middle of the park, but he has been for Liverpool routinely used on the wide. And unless like Liverpool in the time that he's been there have never played a central attacking midfielder. They've always played like a flat midfield three. And he doesn't suit that. Like, he needs to either be the number 10 or he needs to be playing as a wide playmaker. Like, that's the kind of positions that he is best at.
Well, the reason why I asked you that, and this is because I'm forming in my head about where we might get to in that 3-1. Let's assume we're playing 4-2-3-1. But if you've got your three, and because I think we're really weak in that three, but Kudos looks to be a superb side. I mean, he's already in what he's done pre-season. If you then had played Simmons left and you had, and I don't think Elliott's realistic on the price, but Elliott central, that would be pretty decent, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's not bad, but you're also forgetting we've got James Maddison. Like, so, like he's a very, people forgetting that James Maddison is probably the only reason why we made it to the Europa League final in the first place. He was our best player for that. Like, what we have this weird habit as Spurs fans, or maybe it's just football fans in general, of actually like forgetting about the play. You're so wanting the new shiny toy that you forget about the ones that you've already got. And James Maddison, we were all crying out for James Maddison, and then we got him, and he is a really good player. And I think in a Thomas Frank system, it's going to benefit him more than what it did under an Ange Postecoglou system. So we need to not forget that we've got James Maddison, but having competition for him is, of course, a really, really important thing to do. And actually, is someone like a Harvey Elliott a good for that? Yes, he probably is. But again, it all comes down to, I know I said on the previous one, I don't care about how much a player costs because it's not my money. But at the same time, I am conscious, if you're spending 70 million on a Harvey Elliott, then you're not able to spend, X amount on a player that you may really need. Harvey Elliott is not warranted a 70 million value, nor has Adam Wharton for that matter. But you as the buying club do not dictate the price. It's the selling club that dictates the price. And if Adam Wharton is worth 80 million to Crystal Palace, then that is what Adam Wharton is worth. Just because we go, well, we don't think he's worth that, we're only going to give you 50 million. Okay, well, you don't get Adam Wharton then. So it's the selling club that dictates the price, and it's up to you to go if you're gonna match that or not. But I see a lot of sense in going back to the original point. I see a lot of sense in getting Palhinha. I think Harvey Elliott could be a good player. And the thing is, Harvey Elliott could play across that front three. He wouldn't just be a right wing. He wouldn't just be... So you get that versatility there. But that's why I said you would also get that with an El Kanous, who would cost you a fraction of the price from Leicester City. And he was by far and away their best player last year. And if you look at his statistics and his metrics, like he would be a very, very, very intelligent pickup for a Premier League team to go and get. Or you go to Ipswich and you go, how much do you want for Amari Hutchinson? Like, he was meant to be going to, I can't remember who he was meant to be going to now. Brentford, was it? Yeah, Brentford he was meant to be going for. Mr. Beehive will probably tell us if he's still here, but there was something wrong with the clause, another release clause that wasn't met in the right way or something along the lines of that. So
it's difficult, isn't it? Because like, we've got to move in the transfer market, but we've got these pre-season games, and I would like to see Donnelly given games because Maddison's not quite fully fit. Decky hasn't gone out on tour, and I'd like to see Donnelly not played at left back again, right? But to play in the 10 role when he was at Orient. All right, it's 2 levels below. I like the look of him, converted from a striker to a 10 by Wayne Burnett when he was in the under-21s. I like the look at this kid's got vision. He moves the ball quickly. I think like he's good, but like I don't know if he'd be a success, but like I want to see him. I want to see him.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? This was always going to be a frustrating transfer window because we all know as fans what we think we need, especially after finishing 17th in the league. But the problem is we brought a new manager in who plays a different style of football, and he is going to want to. He's called the professor for a reason, right? He analyzes absolutely everything to the nth degree, and he's going to want to do that with all the players. And you know his post match conference or post match interview, on the Spurs socials and stuff, where it's like, yeah, actually it was good to get minutes in the leg, but this was disappointing. We didn't see the cohesion here. We didn't see what it was really like. Tactical rather than just like a stare at the ground, mumble. It actually was like a coherent, this is what I saw, this is what we need to improve on. So like, I think there is an element of Frank is probably trying to work out which players he wants, which players he doesn't want. But at the same time, we as Spurs fans are very aware of who was absolute crap last season and the season before and who we need to improve on if we're actually going to give Thomas Frank a fighting chance. But the frustrating thing is we've won the Europa League, we're now in the Champions League, and we've gone back to being a bit of a project again. So you feel like actually winning the Europa League, going into Champions League should be your progression up. But actually we've now got a manager in who actually we need to accept it's going to be a bit of progression. It's not going to be, we're going to be firing on all cylinders from as soon as he steps in, it's going to be TV.
Callum, you've got to go. So I'm going to let you get, because we're nearly 2 hours anyway. I'll try not to run over 2 hours. I'm going to today, but not by much. And I'll leave some plenty of stuff for Adrian's show on Tuesday with players in and out and who's going to the Far East and who's not. But in terms of striker and defence, where I'm not going to put banners up. Just give me your thoughts about where we are. Likely to move or not in terms of those positions.
Striker, I dropped 3 names the other day, didn't I? So Visser is going to Newcastle if they up the offer. Kolomani, dead link. Dusan Vlahovic, 300 grand a week, no chance. Daniel Levy's got more chance of getting a pay rise than him coming. Gussand is an option. Kalamendu is as well. I don't think we're going to deal with Leon, to be honest, not especially with their links now to Forest as well, because they seem to have good relations with Maranaka. So I think anything in relation to him is going to be there. But Guessand
sold Don Bella as well.
Well, yeah, exactly. We've got that, and it looks like Leon are going to sell Fofana to Everton as well. So I don't think they're going to want to lose all of their best talent in there. So I mean, Kalamendu and Guessand are good options. Gussand is more of a striker. Kalamendu can play across the front 3. So I think if Spurs were to go on there, they would probably go towards a versatile forward for the front line to come in. That's kind of where Simmons come in, but I don't think it'd be a recognised striker, in all honesty, because they would rather have versatile and then have sort of Lancashire and Donnelly backing up in their positions with Tell and other people like that. Centre back will only happen if they sell one, and realistically, left back is probably the last position they're going to do in the summer if they can get Sirkin or someone similar to that.
Yeah, Robinson
might be doing some deadline day deals. Okay, just one thing I'd like you to comment on, and this was me when I was frantically 10 minutes before the show putting in breaking news tonight that Kinski's rumoured to be heading to Lille on loan. What the?
This has come about because Kinski wants game time, and there's got to be a conversation between him and Frank to say whether he's going to get enough game time. So there have been inquiries. I was informed earlier. It's not the journalist who reported it is quite full of crap, to be honest, because he said Estevez was done and agreed and we'd sign the geezer, and then he signs a deal the next day with Burnley extending. But there has been inquiries about Kinski. It's just whether we're going to give him enough game time. And I think, in all honesty, I think there's enough games for him, Vicario and Austin this year, because we need to register 3 keepers in Champions League, and we've got enough games in FA Cup, Europa League and Premier League, especially with Vicario getting injured and Austin mainly just sitting around to meet the quota. So
Gunter's going on a pre-season tour. I like Gunter. Gunter's going on a pre-season tour.
But I think even the jump from where was he last year, Worldstone? So literally the jump from that to Premier League, I mean, that's what, 7 leagues? To be honest, he's nowhere near ready. I mean, even Worldstone's probably below under 21s football. That's my concern. They rate Gunter, don't get me wrong, and I've heard that he's going to
watch him. He's good. He's good. But his potential again, he's another potential.
Yeah. He's going to get a new contract in coming weeks, but he's nowhere near.
I rate him above Keeley. What I've seen. But that's only my opinion anyway. I mean,
I mean, for me, the Kinski thing, I think, it's a load of hot waffle at this present moment in time. It's only one person reporting it, and he's never seemed to have got anything right. He's also going on the tour, so it's just I can't see it. And if it is, then the only reason why it would be is if we were looking to get another goalkeeper in, because it would make absolutely no sense for us to have sold Keeley to then just let Kinski go out on loan. The only reason why they would be doing it is because of and the only reason why I can see it is because he might not be registered on the Champions League squad.
He wasn't last time, was he? He wasn't last time.
No, and he's not going to want that again, and nor should he want that. But also, we've got 3 keepers, so he has to be.
But it struck me the only way we could be letting Kinski go is if we were bringing in another English goalkeeper. Now, given Trafford is heading from Burnley to Man City, that to me leaves you with someone like Jordan Pickford. I mean, that's an absolute right out of left field. If we were doing something like that, that would make sense. Although I don't think he's good enough with his feet to play in a French system. So
that's the thing. If the problem is, if you go and get someone, it's going to be the quality of Shay Given, Forster. I mean, we just got rid of the bag of cement and all that. Now we're going to bring him back and all that. I mean, it's going to be one of them ones. It's if you do it, it's going to be
it makes no sense. Right, look, listen, my friend, if you want to head off, we'll see you next Sunday, I hope. And we can have one of these days, we're going to be in a real celebration on a Sunday night.
What, a win? A win.
Well, we're playing
pants in them 2 friendlies, won't we? Absolute pants.
Let me just catch up on the chat because you got to jump, Callum. I've got that. So fine. He's gone. He's gone. I think people do have lives outside of these football chats, funnily enough. There was some.
I don't.
No, we know.
But the I'll call you voice of the beehive if that's all right. Just have you still got Werner there? No, not,
thank God.
I can understand why we signed him because Ange loves wingers that can get behind fullbacks, and he was really good at it. The problem was then he got the ball. I mean, seriously, Werner was a magnificent player until he got the ball.
He won a Champions League and a Europa League.
Yeah, I know that. Right, let's head towards the end. I'm going to leave you. There's plenty of stuff for next week, for Tuesday. But just bringing everybody up to speed. With George Abbott has signed a new contract.
Yeah,
and he looked really impressive. I'm not going to go through the game yesterday. We've done 2 hours. I'm not going to start that. But George Abbott, I thought, had a really good game yesterday. And the boy Byfield, 16, who's
he was a striker. Ian. We brought him as a striker. He's now a centre back, and for 16, he's a unit, isn't he? When you look at him, he's a unit.
A brick outhouse is the polite way. I couldn't believe the size of it, but because I've not.
And
seen
he was
him.
calm. He was calm when he was on the pitch. I know it was,
Impressive, very impressive. So look, the future is bright, but I think for people in the chat, people are saying, I've had enough of Jam tomorrow. I'm not looking at where we are in 2030, 31. It's where we are in 25, 26. That's the really important, the really important thing. Right, let's just finish off. Loans. Ashley Phillips has gone to Stoke. That's for a year. It's a pity that Callum isn't here, but I know he would tell you that with him and Alfie Dorrington, who's gone back to Aberdeen, that Phillips and Dorrington are still rated at the club. I'm not convinced about either. I think Phillips, yeah. Dorrington, what I've seen of him in an Aberdeen shirt, I'm not sure. But they'll be getting regular game time. I think that's the key thing, is that Phillips and Dorrington will be playing regularly again, and I think that's important. Divine Millwall, I think there's been a lot of links about that, but we got the squad that's gone away.
Yeah, and I think the important youngster we all rave about, who I really love, you lovers, whatever, is that Mikey Moore is not going away with the tour squad, so he's obviously going on loan. I mean, would it be to West Brom with Ryan Mason? Would it be with Chris Davis at Birmingham because he was coach at Spurs as well? Or would it even be with McKenna at Ipswich, who was a coach at Spurs? So I don't know, but it looks like the player wants to go out on loan because he wants more game time than he got last year. And I still think he came on 19 times, but he didn't get a lot of minutes.
I got to be honest, I got an issue with all of these three because they're all homegrown. Moore and Scarlett are academy trained as well. But if they're not going to get the game time, and Scarlett, there just comes a point. I know Harry Kane had loan move after loan move till eventually it all clicked with him. I mean, you could say that about Gareth Bale. They were ready to sell him to Birmingham for when it all clicked for him. But you just think, Scarlett, is it ever going to happen to him? Somebody mentioned the boy, how do you pronounce it? Owisi?
Owisi, yeah?
Stacey, yeah, sorry,
And it was interesting because he played in the Wycombe game and then he played in the Luton game.
Yeah.
And yet he hasn't gone out with the tour squad. So that completely threw me in because I'm thinking, well, Frank must like you to play you in both games, and yet he hasn't taken you on tour. So I don't know what to think of that, to be honest. No,
I've got to say, I was looking at the thing and the squad. I went, oh, Maddison's gone. Maddie, my partner, looks. They're selling Maddison. No. He's gone to the Far East. So yeah, she likes Maddison. She likes Maddison. Let's catch up.
So
we
there's been rumours that Mikey Moore might be going to one of the Scottish teams, Rangers or Celtic as well, which I think that could potentially be a brilliant loan move for him.
I don't want him going
football as well.
I don't want him going Dortmund and all that. All the German clubs, they like to nick the young English or whatever players, don't they?
Scottish football's, and I mean, one of the things I've found, I've been heard that, but I mean, that would either be the real could be the absolute making of it. I think with the style of footballer that he is, he's much more suited to playing for Celtic than he is for Rangers. For Celtic, what we up here, those Tanner ball players, he's much more suited to that kind of player, to that kind of style of football, the Rangers. But that would be interesting. I think this is going to develop quickly. These are stories. I mean, like we're saying with Xavi Simons, if he's coming to Tottenham, it's coming tomorrow or the day after. It's not on Saturday, because if he's not coming, he's going to Chelsea. He's waiting for Chelsea to do whatever they have to do or want to do and what have you. But
yeah, we're sort of left with this, aren't we, now, as we finish in here, aren't we? So
yeah, gonna
this
finish
is what
now.
we've got. I mean, the only issue I've got with the Arsenal game is we aren't ready for this, are we? We know we aren't ready of what we've seen with these 2 pre-season games where we were disjointed and lacked cohesion. We actually looked crap, didn't we, in these 2 games? We should have been 2-0 up against Wickham, but the Luton game, we were abysmal. Let's be fair about it. We were terrible.
But they don't matter. I mean, they just don't matter. And I wish people would.
It's pride, isn't it, against Arsenal, obviously. But,
yeah, but I think it's a little bit different. The tack. This is Hong Kong, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've been to Hong Kong, and there's a really lovely flower market. There's a nice stadium behind it. If somebody knows that before we go off,
we've got some flowers on our squad still. Gil, Richarlison, Basuma.
Well, that's in Francisco, isn't it? They can wear flowers. Yeah, but yeah,
I was going to say with this pre-season game of Arsenal, it's if you win it, you take the piss out of the other team. If you lose it, you go, it's only a pre-season game. Like, no one actually cares. Like, so
get our excuses in now. Get our excuses in now because we've been.
It's just ridiculous, isn't it? But why we're playing Arsenal in a pre-season friendly? It's just absolutely
money.
Woke madness, as some might say.
Yeah,
it's stupid. But the thing is, that I would be more concerned with the performances in these things if Thomas Frank hadn't acknowledged that they'd been crap. Like the fact that he openly said, "Yeah, no, it wasn't good." Like there's clearly quite a lot of work left to do. Like, and that's the thing, right? It's these were the second and third game under Frank playing the 2 tactics he's wants. They've only been back for about a month, not even that. So we just it's going to take time. It's going to take a process. It's concerning that we've left Scarlett, Moore, and Devine behind to go and find moves, but we've taken Basuma, Richarlison, and Co, who we'd rather obviously move on.
I mean, Basuma, he had the opportunity to take a game against a lower league team by the scruff of the neck and couldn't even impose himself on that. Abbott put him in. Look, I'll always support every player and manager at the club, whether I liked him or not. And I do not like Basuma. He's had 3 years. He needs to go. Yeah, I'd help him pack and drive him to the airport. And I haven't even got a license, right? But I'll do it.
God, I didn't realise you didn't like him that much. Jeez.
Yeah.
Oh, blimey, I haven't even got a license.
Well, it elapsed because I've got the freedom pass. I don't need a car. That's why. Right. Okay. Those people are wondering.
Yeah. Look, I think, Adrian, let's leave some stuff for you to discuss on Tuesday.
Fine.
The show Friday with Drew Zilla. I presume there's going to be a show. And we're playing Newcastle on Sunday. So I'll do a show. Definitely be doing the show next Sunday night. I'm hoping, upon hope, that there will be some sort of emergency show because I say we need a big win. I mean, I don't know how many of the big wigs have gone off on the plane to Hong Kong, but I would imagine.
Well, I hope the recruitment team ain't gone on that plane.
Well, Lange has stayed behind, and 1 or 2 others, Venkatashan and what have you. You'd hope that they've stayed behind to conclude some business. As I say, Wharton, the goalposts keep moving. 1 minute's this. It's been reported to me by Callum and one other source that the deal is close. And then every time it gets close, it gets further away again. And that's been the difference.
Well, I know we've had talk since January, but that doesn't mean anything. I mean, this might be a sign that's done in January or next summer even. I don't see it happening in this window.
There has to be 4 things to make a transfer. The buying club has to want to buy. The selling club has to be prepared to sell. The player has to wants to come to you, and you have to agree the price. And at the moment, we see fair way on. I presume the player was, otherwise this would all be academic. But as a Simmons situation, one other thing, because I think I can't remember where we've got a league game, and Adrian and I haven't discussed this yet, but there is the transfer window that closes at 7 p.m.
1st of September.
7 p.m. and the 1st of September. So there'll be a lot of people, but we should probably do a live broadcast. I got
Which is 2 weeks into the season, Ian, which is mad, isn't it? But the reason we do it is because it's to be in line with the Europeans, and we know that the Turkish and Saudi transfer window goes on longer, as I think the Scandinavians do, because they have that break for winter. So it's all good.
We'll probably try and do a live show, I think. Although the World and his wife will be doing live shows, but it might be interesting to see what's happening. I've got a funny feeling that with the way we are, that we will be doing business fairly late this year because we can't get all of our business done.
I just want to plug the show, guys. We've got like 150 of you. We had about 170 odd earlier. I mean, like, we are competing with other shows out there at the moment. All the other Spurs fan shows, I don't knock them. You know, they're well intentioned. They have their content. Each show has its own tone. They're different to us. We're a very discerning group, actually, here. For those that you're viewing us on various platforms, you can see the YouTube subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner. We can't see it as we're live. If you like our content, please subscribe to the channel. We have got memberships if you want them as well. You can find us on Facebook as well. Under Spurs Diehards. You can find us on XCOM as well there. You know, and we've got two channels there. We've got the Spurs Diehards 1 and Spurs Diehards 2 is actually the new communities that XCOM have introduced, which is good, which means you can see our posts rather than they get lost in the hundreds of thousands of other posts when you just post in there normally, right? So yeah, big up to everyone in the chat. Big up to you for your questions and all that. And a big up to everyone who watches on playback as well, because we get a lot of views after our videos go out. We do get a lot of views on them as well. And we had nearly 1,200 views on the last video or something like that. And with that, thanks, Sean. Back to you, Ian.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And just one last piece of news for anyone that hasn't picked this up. Apparently, Lucy Bronze, you know, she went off injured in extra time of the Euro final. She played with a broken leg. She has a fractured tibia. Most of the time. So that's taking dedication to another level. In their absence, a big thank you to Coach Dave for his contribution, and Callum. They'll both be back on. Callum and Tom
and Brad.
And Brad. Forgot about Brad and Brad. Yeah. I presume you'll be available next Sunday, Tom.
Yeah, I'll be here.
And I've got the famous Brian Daigle coming on next week as
well. Good, I like Brian. No, Brian's cool.
Oh, let's hope we sign someone, because I don't think he's taken the Morgan Gibbs White news very well.
I mean, listen, I'm a big fan of Morgan Gibbs White as well, and I've been praising him like Brian has. And we're both big Alfie Devine fans, but I don't see him having a future at Spurs, to be honest. Although I got so much joy watching our under-21 smash everything and win 2 trophies before players went out on loan this season. I mean, I don't see a majority of them making it, unless we're at a free kick like an Alex Ferguson when the 2 Nevilles come in and you had Beckham, Scholes, Butt and Giggs come through with a group of experienced players. I would love it to happen here with the group we've got. We've got some fantastic talented players who are going to have superb careers. They're all going to be multi-millionaires, but I don't think 99.99% of them are going to do that with Spurs. And with that, Ian disappeared.
Yeah, his camera froze, so I think his internet messed up a little bit. But
he needs to pay the bill. He's not short of money. I mean.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. Right. As Ian's gone, I'm going to end the stream and play you out a bit of music. We have got lots of music for you guys. It's just that because us admins have all got different musical tastes, we seem to debate on what we're going to play. So I'm going to play whatever Ian's piece of music. And if Tom gives me a piece of music, I will edit it. If Drew does it, or other fellow admin, because there's 4 of us here that run this show, right? I would do that. Thanks again to all you 140 that have still stayed with us. I'm going to play out a bit of soul music rather than heavy metal here right now. And I'll probably see Tom in the back room.
We are Tottenham diehards. Something I can't explain. We follow through sun and rain. When we lose, we don't complain. Yes we do, oh we do. But Tottenham Hotspur, I will love you till I die. I will love you, I die. I will love you till I die, till I die, till I die.